Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. I've just returned back from my vacation to Japan. It was honestly perhaps the best vacation I had in my life. Japan is a great place to visit as a tourist. It's a very beautiful country. It's a very interesting country from cultural aspects, but also from the things you can see, cultural things you can learn, and obviously wonderful food you can eat. So this update will not be another gear review, but I just wanted to give an update about the gear I was using during my trip that I described in my previous video. And so just to give a quick update on the tech gear that I took and share some thoughts on what I liked and what I might do differently next time. So let's dive right into it. So first thing, my backpack, the Peak Design 20-liter backpack. I really liked it before. I like it even more now. It's super spacious. I really loved it. It fits all the accessories that you want to put in it, including the occasional water bottle. You can strap a jacket if you don't want to carry it on yourself or somewhere else. You can just strap it here on the side. I used to carry my water bottles in here, and obviously everything else fits nicely in. I probably would have wanted to have a bit bigger, a bit more spacious backpack. So Peak Design also comes in the size of 30 liters. If you are in the market, if you like Peak Design, perhaps look at the 30 liters, try it out. It's not that much bigger than the 20-liter one, but I feel it just adds a little bit more space, and sometimes you might actually need it. So that's just my 2 cents on the backpack, but again, I really loved it, so there is no any other comments on this. Next thing that I wanted to talk about is, of course, the power bank that I took. This is the Anker Powerbank for 20k milliampere. I said that I didn't, that I was concerned about its slow charging speed, that if you want to actually charge the power bank, then it might take quite a bit of time because it only accepts, I think, 15 watt. That's not a problem. That's not a big problem, let's say. But also, it's quite heavy. And in Japan, I saw that I didn't really use it that much because Japan is very convenient a country to charge your devices. First of all, there is a power outlet almost everywhere, in cafes, in some places like a train station where you might wait for your train, in the buses sometimes, obviously on the trains, and also on Shinkansen, the bullet train. We never had a problem that we really were running out of energy for our devices. So I would say if you are on the edge of having a power bank, you perhaps don't even need it. Perhaps you can just take a USB cable with you or a power brick and then charge your devices whenever you see fit, and I'm pretty sure you would be fine. Next thing that I wanted to talk about is obviously my X-T5 camera. It served me very well. As I said, I took my kit lens which is 16 to 80 millimeter f4. It has the aperture of f4, which doesn't change, so it's just constantly on the 4. It didn't really bother me that much, so it's not, it's not very fast. It doesn't produce very creamy bokeh, but I never noticed it during the trip. So it's very versatile, obviously, because of the zoom. It makes very sharp, nice pictures. I sometimes wondered if perhaps the ISO, when it is pushed into the thousands to the 10,000s and more, if it would be very visible on the pictures. It is visible, but it doesn't really degrade that much quality of the image. So if you're concerned about it, that it will perform bad in the low light conditions, this camera X-T5 with this lens, the 16 to 80, I wouldn't be concerned that much about it. It's a great combo. I took a lot of pictures of it. Majority of my pictures with the X-T5 were taken with this lens. So I definitely think it's a great choice that I took it. Now, another thing that I was discussing in my previous video was the choice whether I will, which 35 millimeter lens I should take, whether I should take the f2, which is a newer version, which is weather resistant and aperture of 2, or the 1.4, the older version from Fujifilm. I settled on this one. As I said, it's probably because of the character of the lens that the creamy picture that it produces. I really liked the fact that I took it. I used it in some situations where in darker scenes, let's say in the situations where there wasn't much light, or when I specifically wanted to have shallow depth of field, and that lens performed very well. The fact that it's not weather resistant didn't bother me much. It was raining a bit when we were in Japan. You can use either a cover or some kind of roof or an umbrella, and I'm pretty sure if you're careful you will be fine when using this. And next to that, I had a change of mind before I departed to my vacation. So I said that I will probably not take another lens, but I actually took the 16mm f1.4. This is perhaps some people consider it perhaps the best lens in Fuji lineup. I'm not so sure about this, but it's a great lens. It makes very sharp pictures. It's obviously a wide angle lens, so it's mostly can be used for the landscape pictures, or when you actually need to fit a lot of space in a shot, so for narrow spaces as well. I didn't take that many pictures with it. The ones that I took, and you can see them on the screen, it's when I really wanted to have a wider shot with a shallow depth of field, and it performed wonderfully there. Having said that, I took a lot of the wide pictures still with my zoom, and that was perfectly fine. So the f4 on a wide angle works great, and sometimes you even want to stop to, let's say, f8 for that sharper details. So I don't regret taking it. However, I probably didn't need it because the zoom went fine. Now, since I'm talking about camera, I want to talk about a gear that I didn't take with me, but I actually bought in Japan, and that's a medium format GFX 50S2. That's a medium format camera. I'm going to review it in a separate video, but for now a reason why I bought it there is because first of all, cameras and gear, especially from the Japanese manufacturers, they're much cheaper in Japan than in Europe. So I got a used GFX 50S2 from a shop, so it came with a limited warranty, which only applies in Japan. But I trust the reputation of the shop that it's a good tested camera, which I think it is. I have been taking some pictures with it in Japan, but since I bought it near the end of the trip, I didn't take that many of them. Having said that, I really like it so far. I will tell a bit more in my review. It's not as versatile as a smaller X-T5, obviously. I think you can see the difference in sizes. It's also a bit more heavier, but the type of the image it produces is quite different. So very happy with that. Very happy with that purchase, and stay tuned for the update. Now, when I talk about the fact that I took a lot of pictures with my Fujifilm X-T5 and the kit lens, I'm not entirely honest, because majority of the pictures and videos I took were actually taken with my iPhone 15 Pro. As I explained in the previous video, I wanted to take pictures on it to also see how pro it is. This is the first Pro iPhone that I have. And I would say that it's amazingly easy and a fast thing to use, and that's everybody knows. If you just take out the phone, you can shoot a lot of things very easily, also in different positions, different situations. It's much lighter than a camera, so you can hold it much more stable in the low light conditions. Having said that, when Apple advertises it as a Pro phone, and as if you remember during the ad campaign, it was like a Pro shoot. They also demonstrated the 5x zoom with a max version of this phone. I felt that the output, although I understand that the sensor size of this phone is not as big as with a mirrorless cameras or medium format cameras or full frame cameras, I thought that the output of this phone would still be, let's say, a raw file that you can play with, that would be versatile and easy to change and use, and that the normal pictures of it would also look like, let's say, pictures that you take with a camera. But let me explain in detail. So first of all, the quality of pictures left me a bit underwhelmed, and that's the quality of pictures that you can take with a normal Apple camera app. So if you shoot in HEIF format and not RAW, you end up with a, let's say, a lossy version of the image, and there is a lot of processing going on. So first of all, the iPhone takes a lot of pictures to combine them. They do this to achieve the HRD effect, HDR effect, but also so that they can preserve the details in the light areas of the photo and also of the dark areas of the photo. There is some amount of tone mapping going on, and that is quite visible in the end details. So if you look at the result, it kind of looks like a mobile phone photo, and some people already pointed it out. For example, MQBHD talked about it very extensively in his video about this topic, and I just saw how apparent it is. The files are fine, and some pictures, regardless of the compression and regardless of tone mapping, are still pretty, and I would love to print them, perhaps on a smaller size. But I wish Apple would address it in a bit different way, so that you can have some control about over sharpening and the tone mapping that goes there. However, on the Pro Photo, on the iPhone Pro, you can select the Pro Photo mode, so that in the apps you can actually shoot with what they call the Pro RAW mode, and then it's not lossy format. Excuse me, just a little bit coughing there. So you can actually shoot raw pictures with it, up to I think 24 megapixels and 12 megapixels for low light and macro photos. The Pro RAW pictures don't have this tone mapping and over sharpening, which is visible if you look at it from the applications like Lightroom or Capture One. And in these situations, you can actually have a much better material to work with. So you can still edit them. It's still a raw file. You can get out the details. You can have a little bit of a curve processing. There is also an ability to ignore the tone mapping completely, because you can select the film curve that is used. The Apple uses the tone mapped curve, but you can also have different ones, as you can probably see on the screen right now. So the raw files are a bit better, and in the end, I'd say that I hope that would be a bit more control over the post-processing for iPhones, or at least for the Pro versions of their phones, so that we can actually get more creative control over the photos that you get from this thing. Now, that was about the photo experience, and I also wanted to make some videos during the trip. As I mentioned, I wanted to shoot the video with Blackmagic app. It allows you to shoot with H.265 format with Apple Log, and I wanted to use the external Samsung SSD drive to plug it in into my phone with a USB-C cable and record the videos on it. Thankfully, that was not needed, because if you shoot not in ProRes but in H.265, you have enough space even on the smaller iPhones, like 128 gigabytes. And I only used the drive just to copy the files so that they don't clog in the internal drive of the iPhone. And for that, it was perfect. So if you are not really bothered of shooting in H.265, which I honestly recommend you do, because the format is actually quite good for post-processing as well, then just go ahead and shoot internally and then copy files off when you have time. I didn't take a lot of videos on this trip, only when I saw something interesting or I wanted to capture the moment for later, to remember it. For example, like in this video of Tokyo Metro. All this trip on the cable car on the island of Miyajima, which is near Hiroshima. I was very happy with the capabilities the iPhone 15 Pro together with Blackmagic app offers. Everything is quite controllable in the app. You can control the white balance and the tint. You can control the aperture with some limitations, of course. There is even a very decent stabilization feature, which is built in the Blackmagic app. It works very well, in my opinion. What is obviously noticeable compared to, let's say, any mirrorless camera with external lenses is that you can't control your aperture on the iPhone. So the iPhone's aperture, which is the diameter of the lens through which the light comes into your sensor, it stays the same. So the only way how you can control the aspects related to it, which is the shutter speed, is through the ISO. And if you have a very sunny day, and I might want to demo this to you, you can't really have low level of frames per second, or should I better say low shutter speed. As you probably know, to achieve, let's say, a nice, smooth, cinematic-like experience, you usually should reverse double the shutter speed compared to your frames per second. So if you shoot on 30 frames per second, you probably should have your shutter speed on 1/60th of the second, and that will allow you to have all the motion, like water, leaves, movement, to have nice and smooth representation like we are used to when watching movies and so on. Unfortunately, that's not possible with an iPhone by controlling the aperture, because you cannot control it. So in low light conditions, like for example in the Tokyo metro video that I showed you earlier, it's easy because then you set it up on the 30 frames per second, you set up your shutter speed on 1/60th, and then the ISO will compensate for it. So the ISO will be bumped up, and then the iPhone will shoot correctly with a smooth movement. However, if it's a very sunny day, there is no way how ISO can get that low, because it's just not possible with the hardware of the iPhone. So then you are you have let's say jittery sometimes, which is called jittery effects, or you kind of don't see smooth motion movement, but it's, let's say, more sporadic, and you can see the details of certain things. For example, if you look at the train ride, you will see the individual moving posts. If you want to compensate for it with something else, you could use an ND filter, and there are ND filters that are sold for the iPhones that you can put on the lens, and then it will allow you to compensate for these things. However, it also adds additional hassle. So unless you are building yourself a video rig, it's really not worth it, in my opinion. If you just want to carry a phone and shoot with your phone, that's just not something that you probably want to do, to buy an additional ND filter. Next to the Blackmagic app that I talked about, I also use the Video LUT, and it's an amazing app. It's an app that is entirely free. You can install it on your phone, and then you can edit your log videos in this app by applying different kind of LUTs for transformation, but also for you can stack them up for color correction and things like this, and you can export them and share it from your phone. So if you're traveling and you want to share your video once you're traveling, check this out. Video LUT is a really great app for that. Okay, then let's talk about things that I took but didn't really use. I of course already talked about my 16mm lens, which I used a little bit. So that's fine, I guess. My headphones, so my noise cancelling headphones, I used them twice. I used them once on my airplane flight to Tokyo, and I used them the second time on the flight from Tokyo to watch movies in the cabin. I did not use them throughout my trip. They just occupied space in my luggage. Honestly, with so much experience that you get during the day at the tourism trip, I just didn't want any additional music or entertainment in the evenings. I was just so done that I wanted to relax. So headphones, they're still great. I just didn't have any use for them on my trip. I didn't take my drone as I mentioned, so there was a lot of problems, not problems, but a lot of hassle to actually get permission to fly the drone. And I also didn't take a gimbal to shoot videos from the phone. And both these decisions, I don't regret them. I think I didn't really need it. Looking back, when we were in Japan, usually there were so many people, and both tourists and not just tourists, that I felt if I were to launch a drone, it would be a big hassle for me personally, because other people want to enjoy the scenery or environments, and if I would want to launch a drone there, I felt that I would be bothering others with the sound of the drone, or just with the fact that the drone was flying there. Additionally, in majority of places, drones were not allowed either. So don't really regret this. If I ever go back, and perhaps I would go to some rural place to take some beautiful landscape pictures or some scenery with my drone scenery video, then definitely I would take it. But for this trip, for tourist trip, no, drone is really not needed. Okay, same about the gimbal actually. First of all, I feel that if you want to take a nice video, and the video that I take is usually short, and they are absolutely fine handheld with the Blackmagic app, with the stabilization, they're absolutely fine to take them with your from your hand, with a even sometimes with the normal classic Apple camera app. I also noticed that there were a lot of people with gimbals or with the selfie sticks, and I felt a big kind of a relief that I wasn't one of them, mainly due to the fact that a lot of them were kind of obnoxious and, let's say, rude to people around them. And if you're in a crowded path to Fushimi Inari Shrine, the last thing you want to have is 3 people blocking the path, so that each one can take just the same type of video or shot. And I'd rather not take that same shot, and I'd rather not be the same person that block it for the rest of us. So quite happy that I didn't take the gimbal. Didn't really have don't really have any regrets on this. I took a lot of pictures there with my phone and my cameras, and they're absolutely good for me. And also I didn't disturb anyone, wasn't in anyone's face or in anyone's path. So in the end, I'm quite happy with that. Perhaps a gimbal is good if you have a dedicated idea to shoot a specific video with a gimbal, but I didn't really have that there. It was a totally tourist trip for me, so pretty happy with the result. Last but not least, the pouch. The pouch is an amazing thing. You usually have a lot of cables with you, and cards, and let's say what have you, the hard drives, and the pouch just organizes everything, puts them together, and you can stuck it in the side pocket of your internal side pocket, of course, of your backpack, and it will just stay there pretty organized. Like my pouch, I recommend everybody to get a similar pouches for your cables and stuff. So there you go. That was my update to my previous video on the pre-Japan trip. I hope it was somewhat entertaining. It's just a small video that I want to get out because I promised it. I hope that for some of you my thoughts and considerations might be useful for the trip you're planning, whether it's a trip to Japan or to a trip somewhere else. In the end, I'd say lessons learned is the less weight you carry, the more enjoyable your vacation would be. So pack light. Don't be greedy if you don't need something, don't really need something. So don't take just an extra lens in case, because you might not need it. So be practical and enjoy your trip, having a light backpack and less pain in your back as a result. As for the next videos, stay tuned for the next updates. I promise I'll make a little bit more videos about the topics I mentioned here. Like I still want to make an in-depth video of how our vacation went, the things that we visited, the things that we think we could have done differently. So maybe it would be interesting for people who still want to go to Japan and have this first tourist experience told to them. I still want to make, of course, a video on the GFX 50S2 camera. I have quite a lot of thoughts about this one, so stay tuned for that. And next to that, I do want to make a comparison between the iPhone 15 Pro RAW files and the normal iPhone 15 let's say JPEGs, although they're not JPEGs, just to give kind of an opinion what are you missing or gaining by not getting the iPhone 15 Pro versus getting an iPhone. And maybe I will also drop a comparison with a normal camera photo quality there as well. So that was it on this topic. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next one.